Hey beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. My name is Delilah. So I'm going to take a minute to just kind of go over some different non-dairy milks. And because you have probably noticed, like, the market has like legit exploded with so many different non-dairy milk options. And I understand it can be kind of overwhelming when you're at the store trying to pick and choose and you don't really have that much time. So this video, I'm going to make it short, sweet, simple, and I'm just going to look at some basic nutrition parameters. I'm going to look at protein, added sugars, calcium, and vitamin D. Also, if we're switching from dairy milk to non-dairy milk, let's think about what kind of nutrients dairy milk is usually providing, right? So dairy milk usually has 8 grams of protein per cup. It has calcium, and it's also fortified with vitamin D, right? So while I'm looking at these non-dairy milk alternatives, I'm going to look at how much protein is in there, how much calcium and vitamin D it's been fortified with. I'm not too much of a calorie counter, so I'm not really going to look at calories a whole lot. I actually care more so what makes up those calories versus how many calories are actually in something. So another quick tip that I want to share about the nutrition facts label is the percent daily value. So the percent daily value are these little percentage numbers that you see on the side of the nutrition label next to each ingredient, and they're a really helpful tool to just be able to kind of quickly skim and quickly judge a nutrition facts label. Now, they are based off of a 2,000 calorie diet, which is not everyone's diet, but like I said, it's a very general, quick use tool. So as a general rule of thumb, anytime something is 5% or lower, that's considered not very much, a low amount of something. Whereas if it's 20% or higher, that's considered a lot of or a good source of something. Now, whether or not that is ideal or not ideal, positive or negative, whatever, really depends on what that nutrient is. So if it's something like sodium that we want to limit, then yeah, you want that number to be closer to 5% or lower, ideally, right? But then if it's something like calcium, vitamin D, iron, no big deal if it's 20% or higher. In fact, that's ideal, right? So just putting it out there so that you're aware of it, and I will be looking at those percentage numbers as I go through these different non-dairy milks. All right, so let's get into it. And just so you know, I'm going to be getting these images on my phone straight from the company website. All right, so let's start with some soy milk, just because I feel like soy milk is very, very common. So first things first, whenever it comes to soy, anything, I always recommend to get organic, non-GMO, whether it's soy, or tofu, tempeh, soy milk, whatever, just always organic, non-GMO. I should probably do another video about soy just because there's so much to be said about soy. But let's get into it. All right, so this is organic silk soy milk, sweetened, or no, the vanilla flavor, which basically means sweetened. So it says 6 grams of protein per cup. Calcium and vitamin D are both fortified at 30%, which is also pretty nice. So the sugars are 8 grams, and I should point out that in a day, the daily added sugar limits, according to the American Heart Association, for women are 25 grams, for men it's 36 grams, and for children it's 25 grams or less. But now back to that. So 8 grams of sugar, presumably mostly added, right? Because cane sugar is the second ingredient on the list. So this soy milk is all right. Now let's look at the unsweetened version. And I always recommend people to either go for unsweetened non-dairy milk or unsweetened vanilla, because you need a little bit of flavor. You just need some flavor, okay? Anyways, now here's the unsweetened version, organic unsweetened soy milk. So this has 7 grams of protein per serving. Vitamin D is much less, 15%. Calcium is 20%, a little bit less as well. However, it has 0 grams of added sugar, so that's also ideal. So this unsweetened vanilla soy milk is ideal because it has 0 grams of added sugar, 7 grams of protein, although it has much less calcium and vitamin D. All right, so looking at this vanilla almond milk, and this is the Blue Diamond Almond Breeze. So in the nutrition facts label, we see protein is 1 gram. So you guys, almond milk is not a good source of protein. And added sugars are 12 grams. So out of 13 grams of sugar, 12 of those are added. So that is definitely a lot. Calcium and vitamin D, though, are decent, fortified at 35 and 25% respectively. So now let's look at the unsweetened version of this, unsweetened vanilla almond milk. So again, still 1 gram of protein, but 0 grams of added sugar, great. Calcium and vitamin D are still fortified at 35 and 25%, so that hasn't changed. I don't look too much at calories like I mentioned earlier, but I definitely do notice here that it only has 30 calories per cup, which is pretty low, not a lot of calories. So if you're going to use this milk, I would definitely like if you're using it in a smoothie, I would definitely recommend to add like some avocado and protein powder so that it is, you know, actually filling. Next, looking at some unsweetened vanilla Ripple milk. So this is actually one of my personal favorites. So Ripple milk is made from peas, from pea protein. So it's definitely great for people who have a soy allergy or a nut allergy. I recommend this to clients a lot. It has 8 grams of protein per cup, so comparable to dairy milk. Calcium and vitamin D fortification are 30% or higher. It also has B12 fortification at like 100% of your daily needs, so that's really awesome. And again, there's no added sugar, so that's great. Let's just take a quick look at the original one. The original one's pretty cool. So it has same amount of calcium and vitamin D fortification. Added sugars are 5 grams per serving, which is actually not too bad. So when you are going to have something with added sugars, even if it's like a yogurt, like a vegan yogurt, I try to recommend people to kind of stick around like that 5 to 7 gram range, because I know like added sugars are a part of our life, right? Like they're not going anywhere. So when we do choose something with added sugars, 5 to 7 grams per serving, I think is like a reasonable amount. This next one on the list is also another personal favorite of mine. It's the Good Karma Flaxseed milk, and it's made from flaxseed. However, this one's a little bit different because it is fortified with protein, and it's actually fortified with pea protein. So it's like a combination of the last one plus flaxseed. Looking at the nutrition facts label, 8 grams of protein per cup, that's great. 0 grams of added sugar. This is the unsweetened protein added version. Vitamin D is a lot lower compared to the Ripple milk. It's just 10%. Calcium fortified at 25%. It's pretty cool. B12, 60%, so it has some B12 in there too. So my first favorite, the Ripple. Second favorite, flaxseed. And then if neither of those are available, I usually just go for some organic soy milk. Next up, coconut milk. And I'm looking at the So Delicious brand. This is the organic, unsweetened, So Delicious coconut. Looking at this, we see here no grams of added sugar, right? Because it's unsweetened, 0 grams of protein. Vitamin D and calcium are both kind of low-ish, 10%. No, in comparison to all the other ones that we've looked at, which are like 30 or more. But it does have over 100% of your B12 needs fortified for the day. Now let's look at some oat milk. Oat milk has gotten very popular over the past couple of years. I'm looking at Oatly, the original. We have 3 grams of protein per cup. Not a lot, but again, that's more than 0 in the coconut milk. Calcium and vitamin D, 20 and 25%, so that's okay. B12 is here too, 50%. It's pretty cool. And now added sugars. It has 7 grams of added sugars, so it's all right. It's moderate. So that is oat milk. Oat milk it's all right. Now I'm going to look at rice milk. This is Rice Dream. First, I'm looking at their original classic one. Protein 1 gram. Added sugars, but presumably mostly added, 10 grams. Calcium fortified at 2%, so pretty low, and I don't see vitamin D listed. So this one I would pass, but let's look at the other one. They have an enriched version. This one still has 1 gram of protein per serving, still has 10 grams of added sugar, so not much has changed in that part. But you'll notice that the calcium is now fortified at 30% and vitamin D fortified at 25% and B12 at 25%. So they have added some vitamin and minerals. So between the rice milk original or rice milk enriched, I would definitely recommend to go with the enriched version. Next up, cashew milk. Let's see what's good with cashew milk. So this is the silk version, creamy cashew milk, unsweetened. 0 grams of added sugar, right? Protein less than 1 gram. Vitamin D fortified at 10%. Calcium fortified at 30%. That's okay. Yeah, and that's kind of about it. Oh, I also have noticed that it has 25 calories per cup. So again, this is also another pretty low calorie milk. I don't see anything about B12 fortification on here. Side note, cashew milk along with rice milk, those are both fairly low in potassium and phosphorus. So if you are someone who has kidney disease and you need to limit your potassium and phosphorus intake, then those are two pretty good choices. But however, that's still a pretty general statement, because if you do have kidney disease, especially if you're on dialysis, you really need to work with a dietitian, because nutrition really needs to be individualized for you. Okay, last one. Got Milkadamia milk. So this is milk made from macadamia nut. It is probably expensive, I could only imagine. 0 grams of added sugars, holler. 1 gram of protein per cup, so not much protein. Vitamin D is fortified at 20%, it's okay. Calcium 35%, also okay. And vitamin B12 has more than 100% of your daily needs. So I went over lots of different kinds of non-dairy milks, and you know, as you saw, all of them have their pros and their cons, right? But I guess just a couple things to keep in mind, like what to look out for. Protein, try to aim for 8 grams of protein per cup, or at least close to that. And then calcium and vitamin D fortification, 20% or higher. And then as an added bonus, if it's fortified with B12, that's really great too. Overall, the goal with this video is to give you the information and tools you need to make an informed decision for yourself. Because when it comes to nutrition, like, we can't just be focused so myopically on like one little detail at a time. We need to look at the big picture, and we need to understand how our food choices are all related to one another and how they're affecting us on a whole, right? We have to look big picture wise. That is the goal. That's most important. All right, guys, until next time, take care.